Hi there and welcome back to Tungsten Tales. Today I'm here to talk about the Premier League. With the World Championship and the Q School and the Bahrain Darts Masters out the way, attention once again turns to the Premier League, and I'm here to run through who I think will be in the 8-man lineup in 2023. Now, it's important to remember that this is who I think will be in the Premier League and not who I want to be. There are plenty of players that I would be putting in this lineup if it was personally down to me, but unfortunately that is not the case, and I've got the 8 players that I think the PDC will be picking, whether that decision comes today, tomorrow or over the next few weeks before or after the Masters. We'll get a few of the simple ones out the way nice and early, and that is Michael Smith, reigning world champion. You can't leave him out of the Premier League. Michael van Gerwen, of course, a multiple-time major winner in 2022, won the Premier League, Grand Prix, won the Players' Championship finals, won the World Match Play. I could go on with Michael van Gerwen, so he is a certainty to be in the Premier League. And then Peter Wright, a world champion just 13 months ago. Not the best year on TV for Peter Wright, but in that world's top 4, a terrific commercial asset for the PDC as well. He is 100% certain to be in the Premier League. Now, the reason why I don't include Gerwen Price to be a certainty, despite being in the world's top 4, is the earphones, ear defenders incident from the World Championship. He said he didn't want to be playing back at the World Championship, and who knows whether that extends to the Premier League. The fans and the sort of entertainment surrounding the Premier League is very similar to what we experience at the World Championship, and to do that week in, week out for nearly 3 months worth of action, who knows whether Gerwen Price would want to do that. Now, if he does want to do that, he's an absolute certainty to be in the Premier League, and I'm going to say that a competitor of his standing, former world champion, he does seem to enjoy the crowd at times, but not during that World Championship. I think he will take on the Premier League, but it has to say that is one that split people down the middle. Now on to some of the more controversial, contentious picks, you may say. First up, I'm going to say Luke Humphries, in at world number 5 at the moment, had an unbelievable year on the PDC, not so much on TV, but winning a handful of European Tour events and on the Pro Tour as well. Reached the Grand Slam semi-finals, had a good run at the UK Open, though the Worlds didn't quite go to plan for Luke Humphries, being up at world number 5, having the 2 challenger contender sort of nights in the Premier League as well a couple of years ago. He's in a terrific place to be included in the Premier League, and I think this will be his year. Next, and one that not everybody agrees with, is Nathan Aspinall. 2-time major finalist in 2022, that being the World Grand Prix and the Grand Slam of Darts, losing out to Michael van Gerwen and Michael Smith. For me, 2 major finals is enough to make it to the Premier League for Nathan Aspinall. Despite players like Danny Noppert, Ross Smith winning majors, they didn't quite have the result elsewhere to back it up. Nathan's had a good year, looked good in the World Championship, even despite the loss to Josh Rock. And I think the entertainment factor as well with Nathan, he's been there before, he's been to a Premier League final. People enjoy watching him on stage. I think he's in the Premier League. And the final 2 will be highly controversial. Dimitri Bergh is one for me. That year on TV has not been kind to Dimmy. He's down outside the world's top 10 at the moment. And the World Championship is really the only saving grace for him, making the World Championship semi-finals and getting obliterated by Michael van Gerwen on semi-finals night at the Alexandra Palace. But 2 World Series wins on TV, it has to be said as well. We've seen players picked for the World Series, then be picked for the Premier League, and I think Dimitri Bergh might be one of those examples. He speaks, as we know, many languages. The interest in Belgium is just going up and up and up for that European Tour event, and in the World Championships. The numbers are absolutely huge. To have a commodity like Dimitri Bergh in the Premier League would be priceless to the PDC and the fact he speaks so many languages and can relate to so many people around Europe and in the UK as well. I think Dimitri van Bergh, not just on his results in 2022, but from a commercial point of view, I think he makes sense, and I think he is the next name and number 7 in the Premier League. And finally, I'll pick out my final name. It could be Johnny Clayton, it could be Danny Noppert, it could be Ross Smith, Dirk van Dijvenbode, even Rob Cross in there as well, inside the world's top 10. But I'm going to go for Joe Cullen on the basis that he was the runner-up in the 2022 Premier League. Not many players just get 1 year of action, especially after making a Premier League final, and I think despite it not being the best year on TV for Joe Cullen, that does carry him into the final spot. Now lots of you will be saying Danny Noppert, Ross Smith, they won majors in 2022, but I think being in that Premier League in 2022 and becoming a runner-up, won the Masters last year of course, I think he's established himself as a top player and a player that people recognise in these major events, and to have one more year, one more crack, even though he's not quite at the top of his game, I think will be deserved for Joe Cullen, and he completes the lineup for me. Of course, let me know your lineups down below, who you think we picked and who you would like to pick yourself. I'm sure there'll be plenty of other names that I haven't even mentioned as honourable mentions this time around. So feel free to let me know, and I'll see you soon.